Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Exchange. My name is Scott Morgan, North Motor City Madmouth, and we had a great episode of Pundit before the Sports Exchange, and now I'm glad to have three-fourths of the crew back. Anyways, at least I have Denzel Snipes, myself, and Jacob, and then we have Stu. So, all right, Denzel, welcome to your first appearance on the Sports Exchange. You do a marvelous job leading into it. Now you get to be on it.
Yes, I am on the other side. I'm on the other seat now. So I finally made it onto the show. So let's see what the episode brings.
You're legendary, iconic. You're on the show that I created back in the 80s with George Eichhorn. You made it to the Sports Exchange Club. Welcome, Denzel.
Hollow ground right now.
I don't have to welcome Rick Curdy. He's used to this one. Anyways, welcome back, Rick. I know you had a busy week with us too yesterday, and then we had baseball and whatever. So welcome back for round 3, Rick.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
And Jacob, long time no see. 10 minutes. Goodness.
5, maybe.
I don't know. What's the over under? Who knows?
Yeah.
And JB, the man who's my brother from another mother that gets an earful of everything I need to put in his ear. He's back for another round of controversy on the SE.
What's going on?
All right, well, what's going on? I'll tell you what, got a great episode lineup, and I'll go ahead and get our information out from the outset. We'll go to the topics. Subscribe to the South Florida Tribune on our YouTube channel or visit www.southfloridatribune.com and advertise, call 954-304-4941. The audio portion of the show can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you have difficulty finding the YouTube channel on our website, no problemo. Just go to youtube.com, look for South Florida Tribune, hit the subscribe button, and that's the only manual labor you'll need with whatever finger you decide to use. The yellow page says let your fingers do the walking, and all you need to do is use one finger to do the subscribing. Good stuff. Okay. And you can locate us on Tribune South if you are on Twitter. All right. My guys here have some really good, strong topics. We're going to get to them right away. And we're going to lead off with the new man on the block, okay? Congratulations to the Houston Astros and Dusty Baker. All right. Glad to see that the Astros won one legitimately, okay, and that Dusty Baker was able to get it done. And hats off to Justin Verlander. But the real reason that I'm talking about this is a guy by the name of Nolan Ryan went on record laughing at the combined no-hitter, which I despise. Of course, it doesn't hurt the man threw 7 on his own. Didn't need any help to do it. So, but hey, Nolan Ryan to me is icon. He made it in the Hall of Fame with 90-some% of the vote. So if anybody could go ahead and talk tough, Nolan Ryan can do it. And if that wasn't good enough, who was it? Whose brains did he knock out? Rick Curdy?
Robin Ventura.
Challenge the man to fight. If you're charging the mound, Nolan will knock your brains out. So, all right, Mr. Astro, talk about Mr. Ryan.
So I think you said that he actually kind of laughed at the combined no-hitter. Well, yeah, I mean, we all – and the Nolan Express, he's one of my faves. You know, I grew up watching the man, and I actually saw in person when Ventura charged the mound. And basically you had a prelude of UFC right then and there at Rangers Ballpark. But you know, the Astros just did what they had to do in Game 4. You know, they pitched the second ever no-hitter in World Series history. We all know, sure, Nolan is capable of perfectly throwing one by himself. He has thrown 7, you know. But at the same time, at the end of the day, I mean, I've always said that the key to a deep postseason run is going to be a starting rotation in your bullpen. Just like in basketball, the key to a deep postseason run, in my opinion, is the bench. You know, so that's what it came down to. I know with Nolan's comments, it might come off, you know, slightly cocky and whatnot. I get it. He's one of the greats, you know. But at the end of the day, I mean, the Astros got the job done the way they knew how. They were dominant. They also built to come from behind. They still had that same high-powered offense from 2017. The pitching much improved, you know. And, I mean, one of the most complete teams in years, you know. So, before Nolan does too much laughing, he should do a complete analysis of the whole 2020 Astro season. But in my humble opinion.
Well, and I'll tell you this, Rick Curdy likes to get on me a little bit every now and then because we talk about the combined no-hitters. But to this day, the old adage is, who gets credit for a combined no-hitter? I don't think the combined no-hitters are legitimate, and I'll continue to say they are not legitimate.
I agree.
And I'll tell you what, Justin Verlander, who thankfully got the monkey off his back, got a World Series win, is thrown a comb. So who gets credit for the no-hitter combined? I don't know. I don't care. All I can tell you is I don't like combined no-hitters because I don't know who gets it. And you know what? I am so glad, Mr. Christner, that you brought that subject to my attention because I had other ideas, but when this one made way too much sense to not talk about it tonight. So, you know what? I'll say it for the last time. I hate combined no-hitters. Who the heck gets them? Nolan, you're a Hall of Famer in a lot of ways, and you have records that'll never be broken anyways. No-hitters as well as strikeouts. From there, we'll turn it over to Jacob Christner.
I think about the change in baseball. And if you want to, and you're talking to somebody who despises combined no-hitters, hate him. It's like you get the ball, you finish it, period. It's like all I can think about is the movie Facing Nolan, and someone tried taking him out during a no-hitter. He'd probably pitch him back to the bench. It's like, yeah, right. Have fun with that. Guy was like 6'2.5", 6'3", about 240. You weren't going to do it, but everybody brings up. But let me say this: if you want the example of a change in baseball, Dusty Baker replaced this guy. Replaced the guy with the no-hitter, Dusty, the guy who probably would, in like about a year or two ago, would have probably let somebody have 230 pitches just for the kicks. Just because he's the one accused, wrongly, of course, of ruining the Cubs pitching staff because he let him pitch forever. It's like he's just from an era from that, and he stopped it. He stopped the no-hitter, the single no-hitter, which tells you the change in baseball now. When the old guy I was telling Jay about this tonight. We're about to see him one day with a cane with the shaped like a baseball bat. So we're gonna see that he's the old sage, and he changed. So not to say we want to change or anything like that, but I want to bring something about Nolan fast. Everybody brings up Robin Ventura. That was an easy fight. Think about him standing up and going to a basically a tie, a stalemate with Dave Winfield, a dude the size of Dave Winfield. He basically got swung, missed, and he was a stalemate with Dave Winfield. This tells you how tough Nolan Ryan was.
Okay, so give me your thoughts about Nolan Ryan downplaying the combined no-hitter.
That's what I was bringing up about that. It was like that was the thing with Brandon. That's how you can tell that that the world's changed in baseball when Dusty does it. But no, I think he's right. I think Nolan's right. I think because the biggest thing is we've gotten to a point now where people can't even get complete games. Right. It's like, I mean, they can't even get it. It's like you would think you'd get a complete game at 85 pitches. They're taking about 70. So it's like they're thinking about all this. You're overthinking things, and to me, you're hurting arms. You got to let them finish something like that, especially in the World Series.
Well, I just want to add one small point. I see where y'all are coming from, but in just thinking in the mind of a manager for a second, okay? It's all about the preservation of your rotation. Need I remind everybody, Game 3 of the American League Divisional Series, how many innings did they go?
Like about 18, 19?
18 innings. How many pitchers do you think got used? That's a lot of usage, bro. It's about, especially in the World Series. It's about the preservation of your rotation. Now, for the record, for everybody on the screen, I didn't care about the combined no-hitter. I mean, it was great that it happened, but I just wanted to win. That's it. I just wanted to win. If the Phillies got a hit in the ninth inning, okay, just close the deal. Shut the door. Okay? I just wanted to win. But also at the same time, and just think about this, okay? In the mind of a manager, it's about preserving your pitching staff.
Well, Denzel, it would take a blind man to not know what cap you're wearing called the Astros. And number one, Ray Charles probably couldn't see it anyways, but the rest of us can. So the only thing I'll say about 70 pitches is nowadays that classifies as a quality start. And that's as far as I'm going with all these advanced analytics. I breathe you. Your Astros won. I'm glad they did. I'm glad Justin got another one, and I'm glad Dustin got the grill off his back. JB's been waiting patiently. Okay, JB, you're up next.
So I can't wait for the headline in April. The guy showed up at the clubhouse. Woohoo! Let's celebrate. It's a combined no-hitter. Get over it. It means absolutely nothing. It's a win, yes. Great series by the Astros. They were the better team, no question about it. Denzel, congratulations to you. It's nice to be that guy that roots for the right team. But the no-hitter, garbage. I got no problem with Dusty taking the guy out. Listen, you got to win the World Series. No-hitters mean nothing at this point of the year. It's about getting the trophy. Hopefully that they're clean. I believe Dusty would only be that way. So, I have no issues with that. Still hate the Astros with every fiber of my being. So I was rooting for anybody to beat them. And it could have been any team that had a combined no-hitter. It's the stupidest thing in the world. When the COVID was happening, we had 7 inning games, and a guy threw a no-hitter, and we couldn't count that as a no-hitter, when he couldn't have possibly went out to pitch the 8th inning. Even if he wanted to, there was nobody that was allowing him to. So that didn't count. We're going to talk about combined no-hitters. Get over it. It's a joke. Waste of time.
Well, all right. Well, guess what? We're moving on to another subject. Probably the one subject of the 5 that will probably take less time. All right, Rick.
I love the combined no-hitters. You guys are all wrong. This is even more impressive than Nolan Ryan's 7 no-hitters because they're done by 3, 4, even 5 people to get on the same page. And for everybody's different. You got a guy who throws faster, breaking ball, whatever. And for them to be in sync together and not allow a hit, that's impressive. I'm sorry. I love Nolan Ryan. He is dead wrong. Combined no-hitters are cool. I've seen 3 of them. The Charlotte Knights actually had a combined no-hitter last year. So they're fun. They're great. It's some you don't see a lot. I like it, and I think it's more impressive than the one person throwing a no-hitter.
All right, well, I guess.
Well, I got 1 second. I got to ask Rick. So the COVID guy that threw the no-hitter for 7 innings, is it his fault? Should that not count?
Well, I think it's because he has to go 9 innings, but no, it's not his fault. It's just unfortunate. I saw a guy throw he went 10 innings and then allow a hit. He gave up a hit in the 11th inning and bye-bye no-hitter.
That I can understand. It was a hit. This man could not have pitched another inning. He wasn't allowed to. I am sure he was walking out to the mound because he wanted to keep going. And if he says he wasn't, he was. I'm his attorney tonight. What more can the man have done? He pitched the complete game and a no-hitter. It's not his fault. The rules were different. That's like, beating who's on your schedule. You can't fault the team for beating a team that stinks. That's who's on the schedule. They don't make their schedule.
True.
He pitched a full game, didn't give up a hit. He has a no-hitter. Stupid rules. Yeah,
no, I agree. All right, Rick. So you got your ability in front of this crew here to say how much you like the combined no-hitter.
I love them. They're more impressive than Nolan Ryan's 7 no-hitters.
All right. Well, you know what, Rick? You know what I think of the combined no-hitter? I like the fact that the Oakland A's can sell out the Coliseum more than I like the no-hitter, and that doesn't happen. So we'll leave it.
8,000 people that they get?
Exactly. Maybe it's a AAA park out in Vegas. All right. On to the next subject while we have time to get to as many as we can. All right. This should be one of the easiest ones because I got some heavy hitters tonight. Are you actually ready for college basketball? To me, early November is too early. Starting in Thanksgiving or early December would make more sense when you have a bunch of mismatches anyways. I'm not ready for college basketball now. Rick, are you?
Not really. I'm not really into college basketball, quite honest with you. We got 2 of the greatest the rivalry of all time with Duke and the Tar Heels here in North Carolina, but I'm not ready for it. March Madness, that's what people want to see. Right now, it's a bunch of, you're gonna see, Sarasota Community College versus Duke or something like that. People don't want to see that. A lot of it is just dumb games. Once in a while, you might see a little upset, but it's usually some community college versus some big school. So, no, I'm not ready for it.
Yeah, every now and then you'll see some marquee games for sure. But to me, this time of the year, I'm not ready. All right, Denzel.
Oh, I'm absolutely ready for it, But to Rick's point, don't you see the same thing in college football? Because sometimes in week 1, you see Alabama play Detroit Technical Institute, So it's the exact same thing. Yeah, all I'm saying is, if you're gonna say that about college basketball, extend that exact same criticism to college football. And as a matter of fact, the SEC is worse because they play these teams in week 8 and week 9. You see LSU play Townsend or something, and they use the same excuse. Oh, well, we beat up on each other all year, which is the lamest excuse I've ever heard. It's called in-conference play, but that's another story. I'm absolutely ready for it. It's something about that college basketball field that it brings to sports that's just something different. They always say that college fans are more passionate. I love it, and of course, it's a great build up to conference, championships and the conference tournaments, and then the March Madness and all. And I mean, if not for nothing, just be there for the highlights.
All right. Well, you know what? I got a proposition for you, Denzel. Okay. What was the name of that Detroit school that you just said?
Detroit Technical Institute.
Yeah, Detroit Tech. I never even heard of it. So you know what? I'll be the
'Cause I made it up.
president, and you'll be the chancellor. Then we'll just create Detroit Technical Institute. We can take a ride there.
We're gonna create a dynasty.
No.
We're gonna win like 6 natties.
Oh yeah. No, we're going to build a legacy. Okay. It's
Yeah.
like Robert F. from
Yes.
Atlanta. We're going to build a legacy. Don't ever worry.
We're hiring JB as the athletic director.
Right, there you go. But here's the deal.
He's gonna have a cigarette in his hand.
No smoke. There'll be a no smoking office.
Hold on. Where I do have a problem with your comparison, though, between football, though, and basketball, and knowing that I've worked with Florida Atlantic for a long time, some of these mismatches actually are good for these smaller schools because that's how they pay for their financial budget.
Right.
You don't get such a guarantee in college basketball as you do in football. So, I can understand where those games are relevant to the smaller schools, especially in college football versus college basketball. So, I mean, I had to go ahead when I was looking on my sports app and looking at how many games you have, and my arm was getting tired near the end of the bottom of the 200 and some games that you get where everything's broken up into it. So the comparison between college basketball's early games and football to me doesn't quite dig, only because of the fact if you understand that if they're getting paid $500 to $1 million, that carries these other sports, secondary sports for a while throughout an athletic budget. But
it is. I mean, it wasn't like that deep. All of a sudden, it's just it was just the comparison on the surface. That's all.
Yeah, no,
earlier in the season,
you know what?
You see the same thing.
I'm kidding with you, man. I really am. This is your first rodeo on here. So we got to make sure we break you in the right way. And we will break you on the right way when you come on again. Reality is you know what? College basketball in early November. Hey, I got more work to do on social media to tag JB Ellis to retweet all these extra things. No, JB, it won't be that bad. And Rick Curdy does a lot of it too. So, all right, Jacob, you ready for college basketball early?
Yeah, it's all right. By the way, just let you know, it's early this season, Denzel. So the Detroit Technical Institute probably beat Alabama. So I mean, there's just that thing, But see, it's all right. I don't mind the whole thing, but I have one little storyline I'm looking into. It's how Duke handles with John Shire, and the reason I want that is because I remember 1995, and it's been so long. It's 27 years now. I remember 1995 when Krzyzewski had to go out with a back problem. They put Pete Godet in there.
I remember that.
4-15 with them. 4-15, miserable. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing with it though. They end up having that 2 overtime clash and Cameron Indoor with North Carolina, which was it had the half court shots and have all that stuff like that. But still 4-15, and it's like, and it's one of those things. 27 years later, you finally have a new coach again. How will Duke handle this? And it's like, is this going to be another Pete Godet? I doubt it because the players are better now. But the thing is, I really hope Krzyzewski keeps his promises, stays away from Cameron, because the minute there's any pressure, that kid, they're going to be asking that old man to come back again. And in truth, Krzyzewski was sinking even with the amounts. He got to a Final Four, lost to the North Carolina, obviously, all that. But he was sinking because in the last 10 years, he'd lose those home games he had no business losing, that he wouldn't have lost before. He was, and then he was losing, and it wasn't even conference games; it was non-conference games. He was losing games like 5 a year that was just completely unnecessary. And the thing is, because he's one of the greatest coaches of all time, he'd make up for it and get a nice deep run or a decent little run in a tournament. But the biggest thing about it is you would never know if anything's a problem. If there's any problems whatsoever, you know this about fans. That's why I blast about fans. It's prisoner of the moment. and he got to a Final Four. And if Shire struggles, the Krzyzewski got to stay away.
Okay. All right, turn over to JB.
So, first of all, big shout out from day one: Stenson, Wagner, UNC Asheville, Sam Houston, Southeast Missouri State, Florida Gulf Coast, and UC Davis. Those were all the upsets day one. That's just the first day. So, there's parity in college basketball because these guys are playing 1 year. They're not even going to college. They're going to the G League. They're going to play in Europe because everybody wants to make money. Listen, they should make college basketball the NBA season. Let them play. I want to see more of it. There's nothing better than watching college basketball. They play harder than the guys in the NBA. They don't give up. They play the game well. You get these upsets that are phenomenal. As far as your comments on Krzyzewski, listen, the man fell into what basketball is in 2022, where he recruits guys for 1 year, 2 years, and then they're gone. Guys like Zion will never play 4 years. They're not there to get an education. They're there to get into the NBA, and that's all it is. And he has to do that. And it's hard to build chemistry. These aren't the teams back in the day, like with Leitner and Grant Hill, where they played together for 4 years.
Yeah.
And they learned each other, learned everyone's skills, their weaknesses, their strengths. Those teams were unbeatable because they worked together. They knew each other inside and out. Now you have guys that are there 1 year. You have the John Calipari system in Kentucky, where you get a year, and you're lucky you got the guy for the year, because after 10 games he doesn't want to get hurt anymore because he's going to the NBA. So it's very hard to coach at this level, and it's great to see some of these smaller schools. I mean, a school like Wagner in Staten Island went and beat Temple. I don't know if any of you guys know anything about New York City basketball.
Mm-hmm.
If I could tell you, Wagner would probably not even be in the top 6 in New York City, and they went out and beat Temple, a big time Division I school. So good for them. I've spoken to their head female coach, women's basketball coach, great guy. They're a good school. I'm glad to see that happen. But give me more college basketball. Let's let everybody play. These guys, they beat up on each other because there's no continuity. I love it.
All right, so you're telling me that early November is not too early. You're okay with that?
They could start August 1st and play till July 31st for me. I'm all in. Let's do it.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. Okay, let's talk about the next topic, the surprise of the week. Jeff Saturday is the interim head coach of the Colts. Will be coaching on Sunday. How about that? Saturday on Sunday. My goodness, we are good. So he has owner Jim Irsay's trust. What do you think of the hire, JB?
Listen, talk to me Friday about Saturday coaching on Sunday, because on Monday it's going to be ugly when you read the newspaper. That's all I got to say.
So say that again, please.
Talk to me on Friday about Saturday coaching on Sunday, because Monday it's going to be ugly when you read the newspaper.
Okay.
And then if you give him a burger, he'll gladly pay you on Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, that's all right. No, it's okay that we don't spend as much time on others, so we can we can continue moving forward. All right, Jacob. Saturday, the new Colts coach. You like it or not?
It's as a business. I'm going to make this as a business decision. It's a brilliant business because he's exceptionally popular in Indianapolis.
Right.
Exceptionally. As a business, as a coaching decision, this is Dan Campbell, which Dan Campbell's learning to improve himself. I like it as far as that goes. And I think Saturday could be a phenomenal motivator. But here's the thing. What will make this correct is if they put Foles or Ryan back in there and put Sid Ellinger down, because there absolutely is with Ellinger in there right now, there are 0 people with any play calling experience. So you might as well get the players, the 2 guys, Ryan or Foles, that can call plays on the field on their own. So you might as well do that, because, like I said, there's none. That 30-year-old guy who's calling it for the first time. I think he's like an assistant quarterbacks coach or whatever. Okay, he did it in high school probably. No, you got to go get some help. Even if you don't play Ryan the rest of the year, have him call it. He can do the thing. Get Foles, any of this kind of stuff. Get some help. But I mean, as a business decision, it's brilliant. As a team decision,
All right, Denzel.
Um, um, he- Jeff Saturday is going to become Freddie Kitchens 2.0. I've said this in comments across shows. At this point in time, I think fans may be starting to realize that Ursay is the problem, and this is a desperation hire to take the heat off of him. And it's not fair to Jeff Saturday. And granted, he took the job and all and such, but the coach, they had so much that was qualified on their coaching staff that could have done this, and they picked a dude that was popular. They went by the popular choice, and more often than not, in just about anything, when you go with the popular choice instead of the smart decision, it tends to backfire. Jacob, I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Darn straight to do.
This is going to backfire horribly, and it officially is going to pull that last bit of a curtain away from Ursay and expose him for what he really is. Now, I'm pretty sure fans in Indy can tell us better than we can, but for everybody else, this is going to further fully, completely expose Jim Irsay. I don't know what other ulterior motive he might have. Me personally, I think he's a fall guy. I think he's going to be a fall guy just like Riker's a fall guy because everyone knows the real problem is Irsay. And I've said this for over 10 years, but I'm all done.
All right, Rick.
Bizarre, head scratcher. I thought it was a joke. I thought, oh, okay, well, I wasn't too surprised that they fired their coach. I thought they'd do it at the end of the season. But I thought, oh, Gus Bradley will be the head coach. Okay, no problem. He's got head coaching experience. And I'm like, Jeff Saturday, I just saw him on ESPN half an hour ago. I mean, it was like he's never been a head coach. He's not even on the staff. Why would you hire somebody? It just makes no sense at all. It's dumb. It's silly. It's just to get his name in the news, I guess. I love Jeff Saturday. He's great, but he has no head coaching experience. I think he was a coach at some college in Georgia, is all I know. But
high school,
other than that,
3-8 in the last year.
Yeah, and other than that, he's never been on the staff. So it's bizarre. It's dumb, and I just think this is going to be horrible. And I think I feel bad for Jeff Saturday because I think he's set up to fail.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll just say this much. On the surface, I like the hire. And the only reason why I like the hire is because he has the owner's trust. And the only reason why I say that is because the owner doesn't give a lick about analytics. At least he's going to let the man coach based on his instincts. And I hate analytics. So if you're willing to bring in a guy that can use his intuition and hates analytics, I like the hire. How it turns out, well, we'll find out. All I look at it is nothing more than just an audition to see if he's worth it. Stay in the long run. And you know what? Like our old friend Herman Edwards, if it doesn't work out on the field, you can always go back to ESPN. But, he is popular in Indianapolis, won a Super Bowl, obviously in the Ring of Honor. So to me, I think you've got everything to gain, nothing to lose. If for no other reason, it's an interim position where he's auditioning for the job. What happens later, TBD. We'll leave it at that. I just wanted to make sure we talked about it a little bit. And I'm glad that we have a wide range of opinions on it. Now, I think the biggest topic of the day is I'll double back to last week's guest, Mark Maradai, when he talked about Brittney Griner should never have taken a chance smuggling drugs into Russia. Now she's headed to the penal colony, which is worse than a Moscow jail. With the Ukraine crisis and Vladimir Putin being a loose cannon, good luck, Brittney. That wasn't very smart. Life is going to get a lot more difficult for you. And I'm not going to even get into some of the things that she did that were unpopular, things that she said prior about the American flag not standing. That's another issue. But you know what? There's no way that we can avoid this subject. So, Rick, let's talk about Brittney Griner. What do you think of the situation?
It's unfortunate. We all know it's it's unfortunate, but at the same time, you're entering a communist country where a guy hates Americans so much. And so, of course, and she should have known better. I'm sorry. What's happening to her is awful, but she should have known better. Putin hates us. He hates Americans. He wants to punish us. He'll find any little thing to throw you in prison. He has people in prison in there for for espionage, and he probably didn't even do anything. So it's a horrible situation, but it's Russia. They hate Americans. They're communists, and she should have known better.
Denzel.
I'll go as far as saying, and I brought this up on, I believe it was Three Chicks in a Pod, but yes, she is a political prisoner. I full on believe 100% with every fiber of my being, if Ukraine was not going on right now, Brittney Griner would be home. He saw a perfect opportunity to find some leverage to hold over America, you know. And we're talking about a madman, and I'm not going to get too deep into it. That's a whole other conversation, quite
Right.
possibly upon this topic. You know what I mean? The man knows what he's doing, you know, and now he's got now the ball is not only in his court, but the game's in his favor in this one. It's very, very unfortunate. I do wish her back home, you know, but all I'm going to say is the man knew exactly what he was doing, because this happened and then almost immediately the war kicked off. And he needed some leverage, and it was a bait and hook kind of deal.
No, that's fair enough. Okay, Jacob.
We're past the whole point of people and pundits and Jay heard this, and a couple others heard me. I was going for, I don't care what her political views were. I don't think she's one of ours. You got to bring her home, but we're past that now. She's penal colony. She was, we can't even negotiate. Can't even get anything anymore. And it's like a lot of this came into the fact that we talked about this with WNBA, with a lot of these players. They have to go play extra places to go make a living. And now we're here. Her mistake, bringing weed into another country, and it's a political prisoner. And you're right on that, Denzel. You're right. You're bringing it into another country, and they do something like that. But how weak do we look that we can't even, right at this point in time, another administration couldn't get her home? Could not get her home. Because I'm just going to say this, and I'm not going to bring up the name of the last guy, but guess what? A$AP Rocky got home. He got home. Even if he played the good narrative earlier and said, "Oh, he almost kept me there," and blah blah blah, he got home. And it's like, what does this say to this administration that they can't? Brittney Griner is a lot. Brittney Griner would be a huge thing to get home. You could be able to do something like that, but they're not doing anything. They're not doing, and they're not being any kind of tough. They're trying to quote unquote negotiate. Guess what? Now that penal colony that she's going to be so deep in, who knows if she's alive one day? Mm-hmm. Who knows if she ever stays alive, if we ever see her again?
Yeah, good point. All right, JB.
So I got a couple of points on this. First of all, anyone that has any issues with anything she's ever said, then you don't believe in America. Because if you are a true person that believes in your rights and are proud of this country, pro-America, yay, 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 guess what? She had the right to say whatever the hell she said. So first of all, shut up. Second of all, our country incarcerates more people for weed than any other country on the face of the earth. So before we start with this BS that she was in another country with weed, go to Nebraska with weed. So shut up. This is absolutely ridiculous. She's a political prisoner. Anyone that doesn't see it doesn't understand. And anyone that doesn't understand that our country has many issues and we lock up more people for nonviolent weed offense than anywhere else in the world, then you haven't saw anything. That's about it, guys. I'm done teaching tonight. That's your America. Yesterday was election day. Hopefully you voted, because that's how we get laws and everything passed, everyone that's following. So if you don't vote, you don't get the right to complain.
I'll say this much also, and to JB's point, yes, in the United States of America, there are more prisons than colleges and universities. And as far as mass incarceration regarding black men, the state of Oklahoma is the biggest offender. I think it's about 1 in every 10 is incarcerated. So yeah, that's the state. That's just the state of Oklahoma, And also keep in mind, gentlemen, that Brittney Griner, this was not her first time in Russia. She had been playing there for years. So who knows if she brought that into the country previously, but they just bypassed it. That may be a mystery. I'm just bringing it up as a what if. You know what I mean?
Not that it's right to ever break laws. I'm not condoning that part of it. But what I'm saying is, before we get into, well, she was, over there and it's wrong, in America, there are many people right now that have spent many years and are still in prison
Yeah.
for the same thing, for a nonviolent offense that is
Exactly.
absolutely, completely insane, for something that's legal right now in so many states. It's a nonviolent thing. It's just ridiculous. And the fact is, she's a political prisoner. And even if you don't like what she's ever said, because I don't believe in what she said, but guess what? I believe in this country, and I believe that she has the right to say that. That doesn't mean I have to agree with her. That's why we can do what we do. That's why we can have these shows. Rick can make an outrageous statement, and I get the ability to say, Rick, you're wrong. This is why. And then I can make an outrageous statement, and Jacob could say, JB, would you lose your mind? But I have the right to do that. That's why this is the greatest country in the world. Not for any other reason, because we have rights. Do that in communist Russia. You'll be next to Brittney Griner.
And here's the thing, and Brittney, and just to say this real fast, if Brittney Griner does make it after this whole ordeal, if she makes it out, we're not going to see her in America again. We aren't. There's no. They turn. See, and this isn't like this was a. You're right. This is political prisoner. If they somehow got her out or whatever, no matter whoever got her out, she's been there way too long. She's just going to go elsewhere. She's not going to play in this country again. She's just going to go to another country, become a citizen there. I mean, if she's able to do that part, this is it, because they turned her back. And like I said, a party that you think would have had her back and go after her turned their back on her.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about this thing, as I alluded to at the top of the segment, okay, is this. This young lady is an American, and she should be here. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, okay? And I hope at some point cooler heads prevail, and they are able to get this young lady back. But that said, okay, tensions are high with Ukraine, and you have a loose cannon there. So, to me, it's like swimming in an ocean full of sharks. If the waters are dangerous, you don't want to swim there, do you? If you know that they are, period. Say what you want. But if you know the waters are, it's like in Florida. Do you want to swim in a bunch of swamps where you got a bunch of alligators swimming that could eat you alive? No, you don't want to do that. So she walked into a place where, again, you've got Ukraine and a man who's a loose cannon. Unfortunately, I pray that this young lady comes back. I hope they find every way to do it. I don't feel good about it right now. The U.S. Embassy, from what I hear, is the last place that had spoken to her, the lawyers and all that. But I don't know. I had to bring it up tonight because, unfortunately, it's just one of those things where, as much as you hate talking about it, you can't dodge it either. And let's face the reality. I always like to know what I'm getting into before I commit to anything. I think we can all agree that if you know what you're getting into, unfortunately, there was a risk. You must put something in there. And she pleaded guilty for doing it and went through the legal process. Well, hold on. Okay, she may have pleaded guilty, whether she's programmed or not, but nevertheless, she did during a faulty, flawed legal system where it doesn't matter if you have lawyers, they don't mean anything. Unfortunately, she's paying a price, and it's just too bad.
Yeah, the whole thing's a sham, and it's a shame. And there's so many layers of it that we could do shows on each particular topic of it,
right,
and be here for months. So
all I can say is, if anyone out there thinks that Putin himself did not have any direct influence on the judge's decision, you're kidding yourself.
Yeah,
and we're talking about Russia and Putin. If you think he did not have any direct influence, you're fooling yourself.
Well, that's a given. Okay, now we're going to go to the final thing, which would be a little easier for us to talk about, unless you live in Wisconsin, then it isn't so easy. Okay, but Aaron Rodgers hasn't thrown a 300-yard game in the last 13 through 3 interceptions in the red zone versus the Detroit Lions. So we know he had a bad day at the office at Ford Field. Will there be a Jordan Love sighting in December?
All
right. Well, since you volunteered by giving me your body language, Jacob, you can go ahead and lead off with this comment.
JB found me a couple of years ago for when I was doing pundit points, and I was bringing this part up. I've never. One thing that JB's known about me is I don't back off on things. I don't flip flop. I've been saying this. Jordan Love, he's heard me. They've heard me. Jordan Love will not win a single solitary game for the Packers. He's terrible. And you are going to replace the. Let me say this part. Aaron Rodgers is a jerk. He's an absolute unmitigated jerk. Even before the whole thing with the vaccines and with all that kind of stuff, he was a jerk to his family. People forgot about all of the family stuff. It's a whole hit run thing. They're laughing at the struggles now because of political stuff. He's just getting older. But he is so far superior to Jordan Love, and people are going to see that so quickly. They don't need that. You know what we had with Tom Brady, and he had that game-winning touchdown last week, like about 12 seconds left. You know, he had that, I think, or 8 seconds left or something. Aaron Rodgers is still more than capable of doing that. He's still more than capable of pulling something like that. Is he going to have the same year as he had in the previous years? No, his time's about done. Even if he would go to another thing, he's about done. His arm is obviously completely shot. But he's still one of the smartest quarterbacks we've ever seen in our life. You do not replace, even if he's not a Lamborghini anymore, he can be the Ferrari from Magnum PI, the 83. He can still be that. It's not going to beat the Bugatti today, but it still gets the job done. It still looks cool. He can still get the job done. I mean, Jordan Love's going to get nowhere. He's not going to win a game.
Fair enough. All right, Denzel.
Oh, man. And you know what? There's still something in me. Call it foolish. But history has always shown us that even if they were down, something in me still expects this man to come back and still win the division. You know? Or even at a minimum, because I think now it's almost a runaway, like the Vikings going to take the division. Maybe the Packers will squeeze a wild card, but I mean, it's looking ugly right now. Now they have to switch up their game plan. They have to go to an all-run offense. I mean, because I don't know what is going on. It very well could be age. You're right, you know, because he's about 38, 39. Well, you know, Father Time catches up to people at different time periods. Obviously, it's catching up to Brady way further than it did Aaron Rodgers. But for them to have any hope this season, he's not going to win MVP. He's not. There's too many youngsters in the running right now. You know, it's kind of like Ben Roethlisberger. The year that they started off 11-0, that was his last kind of decent year. With Aaron Rodgers, he's going to have to rely on his running game, because throwing the ball ain't getting it done. Yes, he still is that smart quarterback. No one has taken his football IQ away, you know. But sometimes with age, it's like my brain thinks it can do it, but then your body tells another story. Because it's one thing to be 29, it's another thing to be 39. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, I think Father Time has finally caught up to him. I'm expecting him to still find a way to win a division, but I'm not banking on it. Can he still squeeze a wild card is a story.
You tell me, can he?
Oh, they got the Cowboys this weekend. He usually owns them. If he wins that game, I'll still give him a chance.
Well, they're gonna beat the Bears anyway. He owns them. I'm sorry, they're my Bears. But it's been 30 years. That's not going to change. Jordan Love ain't beating the Bears. Not with the way Fields is playing. I mean, Aaron Rodgers will play it one more time. He'll beat him.
Well, and you know what? To your point, I just want to make it clear. Drafting Jordan Love was a scare move that backfired. Period. Yeah. Everyone on this panel knows he was not first-round material. It was a scare move that backfired. Love has no place on the Packers. Period.
Yeah, but the only thing I'll say about Jordan Love, though at the time, Rodgers had a hard time staying on the field due to injury, so they were looking for an insurance policy. Whether that was the right one or not is another story. But in the business where any quarterback thinks that there's another guy looking over, the fine line is Denzel. He doesn't want to feel like he's the bridge quarterback, especially a guy of that stature. So, you know, I understand both sides. having been around the league a lot, you always want to have another guy in place. God forbid, because remember, when Rodgers went down with injury, who did they have? Huntley, I think, is one of them, and then they had a few backup quarterbacks that were not that great as a result. So I understand it. I think it was a mistake because they should have taken a wide receiver and shown Aaron that you could at least get a top wideout to complement what they have, and now they're bare at that position. But yeah, I mean, so all right, we'll turn over to Rick. I'll have some thoughts on it as well. But go ahead, Rick. Take a crack at this one.
Well, Aaron Rodgers, he's 38 years old. He's not 21 or 24. And like Father Time, it catches up to everybody. It caught up to me. It's caught up to all of us. We all think we can do it, but we can't. And the Vikings are going to win that division. It's over for the Packers. They don't got any players. Devontae Adams is gone. Remember, Jordan, Aaron Rodgers wanted all his money. Gave him all his money. And now they don't got any money to get anybody. And Jordan Love, you got to give him a chance. If he starts, I mean, if Aaron Rodgers starts stinking it up, and I mean stinking it up badly, and they had to bench him or whatever, I mean, you just got to give Jordan Love a chance. And if he doesn't do anything, get rid of him, get another quarterback. I don't know nothing about Jordan Love. Never seen the man play. I think he's played one time. I don't know much about him. So he could be a flop. He could be a bust. He could be Fran Tarkenton, I don't know. But you got to give him a chance. But this is all Aaron Rodgers' fault. His ego's the problem. He's not going to want to run the ball. He wants to throw it because it's all about Aaron Rodgers. And this is what he gets for going and flip-flopping. I'm going to retire, playing this Brett Favre diva, all about me, trying to look like Nicolas Cage and trying to be all cool and all this stuff. Come to practice, Aaron Rodgers. Why don't you play in spring training and have some camaraderie with your own teammates,
right?
Instead of throwing them under the bus every time. So this is all on Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry.
Sorry, JB.
Listen, Moderna and Pfizer are both working on vaccines right now to keep Aaron Rodgers quiet from the press and to help him with playoff games. The guy is overrated. He could take his MVP awards and put them where, because they mean absolutely positively nothing with one Super Bowl. Joe Flacco has one Super Bowl. Joe Namath has one Super Bowl. Phil Simms. We could keep going. Means absolutely nothing. The guy lost how many games that he should have won in the playoffs where he had the better team, and there was always an excuse. There's no more excuses. Bye-bye, Aaron. Nice seeing your career, Ed. Jordan Love, they'll rebuild. Big deal. The Packers aren't going to be relevant for a few years. Get over it, guys, up in Green Bay. You got nothing else to look forward to. Take the drive down to Milwaukee, watch the Bucks and the Brewers, and enjoy some quality sports, because in Green Bay, you're going to be rebuilding. And bye-bye, Aaron.
Yeah, and I want to talk. And here's the thing, okay? I do believe that Jordan Love should see the field at least for the last 2 or 3 games if this thing spirals out of control, like I believe. You want to know going into the offseason what you really, really, really have. If you don't have anything, and if Rodgers decides to go ahead and leave, so be it. Then you know what you have with Jordan Love once and for all. You could get a draft choice for this guy or whatever. Get something for him. And yes, Rick, you made a lot of good points. No OTAs, no problem. Okay, you paid for it because you didn't develop any kind of cohesiveness with your wide receivers. You chased Devontae Adams out the door, although they had the ultimate lose-lose situation, because how did that work with the Raiders? He didn't win in there, and Rodgers didn't win with the Packers, so you got both of them there. So in my opinion, Aaron, you know what? They overpaid you. They didn't give you a better supporting cast. And the Packers should have drafted a guy in the first round if they had to, if there was a comparable wide receiver. So I do believe that this is all on Aaron Rodgers. And I think that Jordan Love should see the field, at least for whatever games he's able to get enough game film on him to see what you really, really have. So, we'll see. But, Aaron, you made your bed. You're going to sleep in it.
Can I ask you a question, Scott? Before you move on, you're a Detroit guy, so you know the NFC North, or whatever you want to call them, but back in the day, right? Who has the biggest home field advantage in the playoffs?
I mean, one would think that the Packers should have it.
Right. And how cold does it get up in Green Bay in January?
Oh, extremely cold. Talk to about a guy like me that's covered games in December. I know how cold it gets.
Yeah.
Floridians would frizzle.
Pathetic that you could get home field advantage in the playoffs, lose to the Giants on one of the coldest days since the Ice Bowl. You know, Tampa Bay come back and beat you in January. Overrated. Waste.
Yeah, I agree.
Take the MVPs. They mean nothing.
Yep.
Paper champion.
I agree. All right. Well, you know what? We got about 4 minutes left for parting shots. If you can make them brief, then we can do them. Rick, give me a brief parting shot.
Well, is that? Well, you know, like I said, we've been talking about Aaron Rodgers. Him and Brady just need to retire, go away. They're old. You know, Brady made the mistake by, you know, if I was him and I won the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay and Jim Nantz said, "What are you going to do next?" I'm holding up that Super Bowl trophy. I'm done. Bye. I'm going to spend time with my family. He didn't do it. And we're where we are now. Aaron looking old. Packers look terrible. Both need to go. I hope they retire, and I hope they disappear forever. I'm sick of both of them.
All right, Denzel, give me a parting shot.
Real brief. To JB's point, the past 2 years that Aaron Rodgers wanted these cold playoff games, he lost to two hot weather teams. All right, I'm done.
Fair enough. Jacob?
Congratulations, Dusty Baker. I've been waiting a very long time to your thing, Denzel. Been waiting a very long time to see this. And I am so proud of the guy. And as somebody who had a 50-year-old dad himself, Darren, good job to them. And personally, to me, I'm going to write this in an article for Inscriber magazine. Dusty deserves a Cubs ring from 2016, his own version, and he deserves a statue there because there is absolutely no there's no things about talking about Ohtani and Aaron Judge and all of them without him starting there first, making the ball roll. There wasn't anything happening like that before that happened. So he deserves his own version.
Okay, JB.
The NFL. Where do we start with these owners? Got Jim Irsay bringing in weekend people. I think the weekend's going to play halftime for the Colts going forward because, you know, it's a joke. We got Daniel Snyder looking to sell. You know, we got two of the worst owners in the NFL. How Mark Davis allows McDaniel to make the trips back from Raiders road games after they blow game after game that they should be winning, and he still has a job. I'm confused what's going on with NFL ownership. You know, there needs to be some stuff done. The NFL game is getting unwatchable year after year with these referees and these penalty calls. And any particular play there's a penalty, you could sit there. I can call penalties on the game. The referees miss the obvious ones. They call penalties where they choose to call them. We need more consistency. We need the game to get better. If you care about the health of the players, get rid of these horrible Thursday night games. Carolina, Atlanta. Do we really need to see that? Is there anybody in America that's excited to see Carolina, Atlanta, other than Jen?
Jen?
Other than Jen, is there...
Black helmets.
You know what? They could play that on Sunday. It'd be just as exciting. It's just bad football. If you care about players, you'll do what's right and start acting like you actually care. But it's okay. Daniel Snyder is going to burn it all down soon enough.
Right. All right. My parting shot. Kyrie Irving, GMs, take note. Don't sign him as a free agent. Morris ran out of lives at 9. Kyrie, it's time to go. He should be blackballed. I think he's more trouble than he's worth. I really do. You can insult anybody you want, but I am so sick and tired of Kyrie Irving's drama. I really am. And I think that he's everything that's wrong with the NBA, probably more than any player in this league. So once again, and I think that when Kyrie Irving becomes a free agent this year, more than any, okay, now that he's a free agent owner in their right mind, will want to pay him what he thinks he's worth, and no general manager, coach, whatever, to me, should even take him. He has left a lot of places on bad terms. Cleveland wasn't good enough there, no problem. Boston not good enough there, no problem. You go to Brooklyn, you pair up with Kevin Durant, problems there. So wherever Kyrie Irving goes, problems exist. Where's he going to go the next time? I don't know. But but to me, he's very toxic. He's a cancer in the clubhouse in a city, and to me, there isn't anything that I can say positive about a guy. And somehow, some way, I dig deep to find something positive. But I am really struggling. So NBA, I just hope and pray that Kyrie Irving is blackballed because he is more trouble than he's worth. All right. With that said, guys, make it brief so everybody know how they can get a hold of you. Rick?
Well, you can find me on my website at www.charlottebats.com. We have a petition on there. Please sign it. We're trying to bring Major League Baseball to Charlotte. I'm also on Facebook at Charlotte Bats Baseball, Charlotte MLB. I'm also on Instagram at Charlotte Bats. I'm on Twitter at Charlotte Bats Baseball. And you can find me on LinkedIn under Rick Curdy. Have any comments or questions? My email is cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com.
Denzel?
Confidential, Basket Bros, The Gauntlet, Pundits Pundit, Nothing Else 13 on Twitter.
Jacob?
Most of the shows with Denzel. Everything is said, and then Thursday nights independently with Yin and Yang. So I've been talking about that. That's where I'm at right now. Plus Jake the Pundit at Twitter.
JB?
JB_ the program, Sideline Sports Tuesday, 8:30. J&J Sports Express, 7 o'clock on Wednesdays. Both sides of the coin every other Thursday every other Wednesday at 11:05. Sideline Sports 7 nights a week. Subscribe on YouTube. Watch on Twitter at Sideline Sports 1. I'm out.
All right. Very quickly, please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, look for South Florida Tribune, hit the subscribe button. Our email address is southfloridatribune@gmail.com. You can go out there and send us your comments and so forth. And our website is www.southfloridatribune.com, and Twitter, it's at Tribune South. So that's the gist of it here. Special kudos to Candy Ebling, does a marvelous job. So great show tonight, guys. Glad to have the group here. And so on behalf of Rick Curdy, Denzel Snipes, JB Ellis, and Jacob Christopher, my name is Scott Morganroth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Sports Exchange. We'll catch you next week for our doubleheader with Pundits Pundit and the Sports Exchange. Good night, everyone, and have a great week. Bye-bye now.
Good night.
Later.